Whenever you guys are ready.
Sorry.
You're good.
3, 2, 1. Just about halfway through the 2022 IndyCar season. We come to the bye week, if you will, summer break after 6 or 7 weeks straight with the month of May, with Detroit, with Road America racing. The fellas and company have a little bit of time off here, a little bit of downtime. We see some folks traveling. We see some people like Conor, Daly hopping in the booth for SRX this weekend. But we are pretty much at the midway point of the season. But that doesn't stop us here on Speed Street from talking about IndyCar. As usual, this is Speed Street. I'm Joey Mulinaro. And with me, as always, is the driver of the number 20 Bit Now ride in the IndyCar Series, Conor Daly. How we doing, brother?
I'm good, man. It's nice to have a couple weeks off, mainly for the crew guys, for sure. And you did mention drivers immediately escaping. Rosenqvist is in Monaco. Marcus Ericsson's in Tulum. That's like, now we're talking. These are proper IndyCar vacations right now. We got the Indy 500 champion doing cool stuff on the beach. We got another Swede going to Monaco to avoid taxes. It's really it's a great thing to see.
Yeah, I learned over the weekend from Rosenqvist's radio chatter that they call Marcus Tall Swede. So you got Tall Swede and Short Swede.
That was fascinating, actually. I enjoyed that quite a lot. When I did my one race in the 7 car for the Aero McLaren team in 2019, and I had that same group calling my race, and we obviously got taken out in the very first corner, but that was a great group to be a part of. I love the energy on that stand for sure.
Yeah, man. So you were just, you said those guys get in the way, but you were just in LA. Was it a little bit of relaxation for you as well? A little bit of fun? What were we talking?
Yeah, I went out to Los Angeles for a couple days of an escape from the world. Road America was, I forgot how many weeks in a row that we've been kind of going. And every week we've been on the simulator as well. And, this week we're kind of back on the simulator again. So it's just been nonstop. But that's good. That's what we sign up for, right? It's been a great stretch of a few races. And I think there's been a lot of positive stuff that's been going on. A lot, some difficult things as well in Road America, but yeah, good couple days away, but now back in Indy for probably a day, and then go to the simulator Friday, and then head down to Pensacola, Florida for the first round of the SRX racing series.
Very nice. Yeah, that's going to be a blast. It is absolutely blazing hot. Just hot as the devil's butthole here in Indianapolis. So down in Florida, that's just going to be brutal. It's got to be 120.
Yeah, they've told us to prepare for heat, and obviously I'm going to be in the booth. For those who don't know, I'll be commentating on the first 3 of the 6 SRX races on CBS Saturday night prime time, and I've not really done that before. But myself and Alan Bestwick will be up in the booth, and did I get my suit dry cleaned for the first race? Absolutely. I do feel like, we did approach the idea of, on our last show about, how casual can we get with it. But I think I'm just going to start with the first one and go real aggressive right out the gate. Go very formal, maybe not a tie, but I am going to wear my real nice pants and button up shirt make sure the Saturday night primetime audience knows that I mean business. And we're going to have a great time calling some potentially hilarious competitive motor racing.
Are you worried about sweat? Are you worried about being sweaty guy on national TV?
Well, I sweat just standing up. I'm an Irishman at heart and in heritage. So I don't know if there's any products that people recommend to coat my body in to prevent me looking like a wet mop. But it's going to be a challenge. It's going to be real tough to keep the pits from becoming waterfalls. It's going to be tough overall to just basically not look like I've just run 10 marathons. So we'll see. Hopefully hair and makeup can make some magic happen, and there's not too many up close camera shots because I'm going to be sweating like crazy. But that's the fun of television.
The good thing for you, I think you got a couple things working for you. One, you mentioned you're going with a suit jacket. I found that at weddings, right in the summer, you wear the suit jacket. It may be hot, but you can't see the sweatiness. You just trap the sweatiness underneath the jacket. That's number one. Number two, you probably have an intro shot with Alan Bestwick at the top of the show when you're feeling fresh, and then they're not really going to come to you much more often. So you sweat it out, my man. You'll be all right.
Exactly. I think that's the move for sure. We're just gonna try our best to not look like a fool and not say dumb stuff on live television. So I'm excited about it. We got a great group of drivers there for the SRX series this weekend. If you haven't checked it out, it's a lot of fun. So we'll probably get into that a little bit later as well. But it's gonna be fun this weekend. It's gonna keep us busy. The next 2 weekends we have off on the IndyCar side, but I'll be doing 2 SRX races in a row. And then, we're full speed ahead through the summer here.
Yeah, no doubt. Well, let's get into Road America, man, because so much happened. They're back. You guys are back on the Big Bird. TV ratings went up. We can get into that a little bit later. But I right off the bat, kind of our race report here we do each week for you and the 20 ride. I got to get to your thoughts that you put out there on the internet afterwards. You did kind of your recap that you typically do. You said you tweeted, had a strong day going, P18 up to P12, only to get driven into at the final restart. Disappointed in the driving standards today. What goes around comes around. So I kind of want to give you the floor, my man, to explain just what you were talking about there and the meaning behind it.
Well, this is why it's very dangerous for my competitors that I have a podcast, because we can really get into it, really get into the teeth of the situation. But honestly, aside from the contact and the stuff that was going on in the race, I did actually think it was a great race in general. I think there was a great amount of overtaking. There was some really interesting tire wear strategies. Road America isn't really a strategy racetrack. It's kind of 3 stops cut and dry. But with the amount of yellows that happened early on, it gave, people like Graham and Felix an opportunity to make a different strategy work. The tire selection deal was definitely very important as well. Some people were able to make the reds last longer than others. Us included. We had a really, really good stint on reds, and I was blown away that they were lasting as long as they did. Right out the gate at the start, Elio decided to just basically drive us into the grass into turn 5 on lap 1. And I'm not entirely sure why that happened, as like I'm already there and technically in the rules, which again, what I've determined after the weekend is the rules are like
suggestions.
Yeah, like unless you get pile driven into the wall like Will Power did, there's probably nothing that's going to happen. Which again, I respect that, because it's very, very similar to NASCAR, and we obviously know that NASCAR is very successful. But yeah, Elio kind of I tried to send it up the inside of him into 5 and got driven into the grass, fell back a little bit. But from then on, we kind of kept going forward. Right after the first restart, got right back past Elio. I was fuming at Elio, and I was like, yep, got right past him. I told my guys on the radio, I said, we're never going to see him again this race. And sure enough, it was true. And honestly, we just kind of kept knocking out cars one at a time. We were all the way back in 21st, and by, just past halfway, we're up to 11th. And we passed Simon, we passed a bunch of other guys in the pits. We passed Callum, I would say Callum Ilott and I had a great race. IndyCar put up some of the battle on onboard footage, but onboard footage from my camera. And it was great to race with Callum. I thought he was, as a rookie as well, like he was one of the most respectful racers out there, and it was a good, clean, tough racing. And yeah, other than that, we saw people kind of, we started catching Dixon at times, and I was like, well, I think Dixon's pretty good. He's got to be in the top 10. And sure enough, kind of we were right on the edge of the top 10. But before all that as well, when we kind of get into some of the driving standards, as we move forward, there were some accidents, right? We saw Devlin DeFrancesco get into Will Power. But what happened just before that as well was Devlin also drove directly into Jack Harvey right in front of me, and I'm a little bit still confused. I text Jack afterwards. I was like, I know Devlin got penalized for Will, but like he also drove into the side of you too. So I know Devlin is a rookie and he's learning a lot, and he's with a great team. I like his engineer. His engineer is one of my favorite people I've ever worked with. But there's so much more respect I think you get as a driver from finishing these races, from getting in all the laps without just hitting people. And I saw so much of it, and the willpower thing I thought was fantastic, obviously, right? Because willpower, what he says on the radio when he gets emotionally charged, is fantastic. Angry willpower is the content that we need in the IndyCar series. And I'm sure there was a lot of movement because that was happening right in front of me again. And Will moved a little bit, but realistically, you gotta know that that's going to happen. And so Devlin, I'm sure, is going to learn from that. And I mean, I've known his family a long time, but I witnessed a lot of contact. And again, what was penalized was only for really sending Will into the wall. So still a little bit confused on how all the rules apply. But there was definitely some contact. A lot of people, rubbing doors, except that we don't have doors. We had Marcus Ericsson driving past his teammate and breaking his suspension along the way, Alex Palou. I mean, that was pretty on the internet while it was happening. That was pretty divisive in terms of, what Palou said. I thought was pretty interesting. And I kind of was like, oh, hell yeah, Palou. Like, we're getting some rah-rah, some fire, some passion coming out of there. That's great. But then everybody on the internet was kind of like, Marcus didn't do anything wrong. Palou needs to watch the tape again. What are your thoughts? Yeah, well, I mean, it's exactly the same thing that when, like what I said after the race at Simon, everyone's like, oh, well, you should have protected the inside or whatever. It's like every single person on the internet who is watching the race is not in the car. And I can promise you, if you ever get hit by any driver, you're going to be very angry about it. And I'm sorry, like, all these people that come after anyone, like anyone who came after Alex Palou for being like, oh, hey, like you should probably look at that again, is an idiot. I'm sorry. Because like, if you're in the car, you're fighting at the front, and whether it's your teammate, whether it's anyone else. And you know what, Marcus, I don't disagree with the move. Right. But in the end, it did break his teammate's car. Right. It was very last minute. And you know what? This is motor racing. Very early too. This is motor racing. We are allowed to do that. But of course you're going to be upset if you're Alex Palou, because realistically, that's a low percentage move. Like, it is a low percentage move. And Alex also happened to get unlucky enough to where it did break a piece on the car, which normally these cars are pretty tough and they can take a bit of a hit. But yeah, like you can't come after any driver for thinking that that's, like, oh no, that's actually great racing. It's like, I'm sorry. If someone makes contact, if there's no contact, then there's a little bit like, all right, well, maybe he shouldn't be as angry. But if there's actual physical contact, car to car, same with like Simon and I mean, that can be avoided. It really can. And so every driver is going to be upset that gets hit. It's just because we are so passionate about what we're doing. You know what I mean? Yeah. This is what we're fighting for. Every position matters. And Alex should have been mad, and I'm glad he was. And you know what? That's what we need as a series. So it was great to see that type of racing going on. There's a little bit of rubbing doors, rubbing fenders here and there. But it is what it is. And I think that to see that type of racing at Road America, such a great road course, I mean, that's kind of what IndyCar racing, has been for so many years. And that's kind of what I grew up watching as well on television. So I still haven't watched the race on TV, but I mean, I hope that it played through pretty well. Seems like everybody, I mean, in the heat of the moment, Palou was calling out Ericsson. Will was definitely ready to have some words, if not more, with Devlin DeFrancesco. But it seems after a few days of cooling off, I've seen reports from Marshall Pruitt saying that Palou and Ericsson have kind of made up. Power and DeFrancesco, Will Power tweeted that he had a lengthy discussion with Devlin, and they're all good, and that's kind of racing and everything. So it does seem to be amended a little bit
for both sides, which is good. But I thought as a viewer watching the beginning of that race, which I had to watch it on my phone from JFK in New York City, and then my flight got canceled, which that was just a whole nother issue. But as I'm watching it, I'm having visceral reactions to what's happening, and Rye's like, you got to keep it down a little bit. Like, we're still in an airport, but I'm having these reactions because I felt like there was a lot of drama. I felt like, even though at the beginning it was a lot of yellows and it was kind of a shit show a little bit at the beginning, I was like, at least this is like entertaining. There's shit happening. There's people calling out teammates. There's cars going off the track. So I did. I don't know if you've gotten to, or what your thoughts are, kind of on the beginning of that race in terms of all the yellows and not being able to get through greens for the first 10 laps or whatever it was. But as a viewer, I was kind of like, this is a lot of action here. I'm cool with it.
Oh yeah. I mean, I think after the second yellow, my strategist kind of came on the radio and he's like, look, we can see how this day's starting to go. So we just got to keep our nose clean and keep, stay in the fight. Right. And he was right. And obviously, once we do get going and things do start to play out, the racing got a little bit smoother. Things became a little bit clearer. And man, it was a fun race to be a part of, because when you have the ability to go forward, we had struggled all weekend. Like we struggled for pace, just overall grip. But in the race, we seemed to have a decent amount of speed. And when you can go forward, when you can, catch people, get runs on people, make passes, pull away, make a pit stop. We had great pit stops all day. The team did a great job. Mm-hmm. And that's what makes a motor race fun. Like when you catch someone, you do feel like you have an opportunity to pass them. The push to pass, we run out of that so fast at Road America, because if you're on push to pass for the entire straight, we only have 200 seconds of it to use for that entire race, right? And you can use it to attack or defend. And when you're on the straight for almost 15 seconds and you're trying to haul the mail all the way down that straight, when we're doing close to 200 miles an hour on the juice, trying to defend or attack, it's exciting. And, it's something that I truly enjoy, but I'm also very excited to see when Road America gets repaved. Like there was that news that came out. I think the surface is so old that it makes it quite slippery for us in the race. And I think it created a lot of challenges for a lot of different people. But in the end, it was a great race in general, I think. And
even when it was decent weather condition, I mean, because it wasn't too hot or anything, right? But even with those kind of conditions, it's still slick for you guys.
Oh yeah. The surface and the tires, they were not necessarily agreeing at the highest level, but I think that's just kind of what the track's all about. And we had a really interesting thing that happened to us also that I think a couple other drivers ran into. And this is probably one of the most difficult things as a driver when you go from one new set of the primary tires, right, to another new set to finish the race, and they handle completely differently. That happened to a couple different drivers, over the weekend. And again, it might be the track, it might be, it might be the conditions, whatever it is, but that's tough as a driver. A couple drivers in the warm-up said they all of a sudden put on a set of tires and they were going like way slower, and we're not really sure what happened. And every driver's got a conspiracy as to why they were going slower. It's just modern day science. But that definitely happened to us on the last stint. And it was, that was part of the reason why Simon and I got into it, is because I was kind of hanging on for dear life compared to earlier in the race where we were quite competitive. So a real difficult situation for us at the end. But again, that's I guess part of the old school Road America motor racing. You never know what you might get.
Yeah. Have you and Simon talked? Have you talked to him at all?
Absolutely not. No, I don't care to talk to Simon anymore. And I wish that all these articles about like everyone making up this week, why can't we all just stay angry at each other? Like that's part of what it is. Like, I don't care if everyone's now friends again. Every driver is going to remember. Will Power is going to remember that Devlin was messing around there and there was some contact. Jack Harvey's going to remember that Devlin knocked him out of the way. And I see all this, like everyone is going to remember. And I wish everyone wouldn't just be like, oh, you know what? It's okay. Like, I'm not okay with it. I'm sorry. Like, Simon took me out at the Indy GP last year. He drove into me twice at the apex of turn 5 at the restart after looking at plenty of onboard video after the race weekend too. You know, plenty of people can go side by side to that corner. We watched it happen all race long. They put a whole several different highlights of cars going side by side without having to make contact. And you know what? Sure enough, I tried to defend early on. He went in very, very last minute, like Marcus Ericsson on Alex Palou, and just drove straight into the side of me. And then again at the exit as well, which put me off the track. So it's, you know, again, did it knock us out of the race? No, we lost 2 positions. So obviously there's going to be no penalty issued there, because that seems to be the standard of our racing now. And you know what? I should I know that? Yes. Should I have put myself in that position? No, but it's kind of hard to really judge when you're late on the stint in tires. You're thinking, all right, we're all going to be slowing down here. Everyone's in line. And, a last minute move like that, it's going to go either one of 2 ways. We can get through there like racing drivers that can race side by side, or you're going to get moved out of the way. So realistically, I absolutely plan on, trying to at least make life very annoying for Simon at some point in a race. You know what I mean? If I find myself side by side with him again, there's no way that I am going to be in the same mindset, the same outlook on that situation, because that's what happens. It has to, because if you're going to get knocked off, you better repay the favor as well. You know what? And we're not going to try to wreck anyone, but just like that, you know what? There's going to be grass somewhere. There's going to be an area where, you know what? Yeah, you're not going to end up side by side with me. And I'm not afraid to say it.
Uh-oh, we lost you.
We need that type of interaction. Like we need, I don't know. I just, if every position counts, And if he's willing to, drive into someone to take positions away, well, then we're all going to be willing to do that as well, because that's what happens. And if there are no rules against it, well, then you know what? There's the show.
Yeah. Yeah, you're right, man. I mean, I think everybody was when they heard the onboard with Will Power, when he wait till I see DiFrancesco, man, wait till I see him. We're all like licking our chops, right? I mean, Let's go. Let's get the big googly eye Will Power. Let's get it right there in the pits. We want to see it happen. But yeah, some cooler heads, I guess, are prevailing with him. So I appreciate it, man.
Can you imagine if Will Power got out of that car and just went over and socked Devlin DiFrancesco in the face? I mean, that would have made Sports Center. You know what I mean? Like Will Power, championship leader, gets taken out by a rookie. You know what I mean? Like, oh my gosh, like that would have made. I mean, just I don't know. We obviously probably shouldn't promote fighting, but like it is what draws attention, and like there's so much that goes into these races. Will Power knows how hard it is to win these races and knows how hard it is to win the championship. And so I think that I wish people kind of held on to their grudges a little bit and, just built up the storyline a bit more. Why not?
Yeah, no, I appreciate your candidness on it. So, yeah, I mean, I think everybody was looking forward to listening to this week, for multiple reasons, but one of them was to hear your thoughts and what went down with Simon and the reason behind the words in your tweet, and your candidness always prevails, man. I appreciate it. We didn't hit the goals that we wanted to. Wasn't a podium, wasn't a checkered flag there for you, but you hit one of your goals this weekend, man, and that was the viewership. You said last week you want a goal to be at least 1 million viewers, million-plus viewers for each IndyCar race. For the greatest show on wheels, as you said, and the viewership came out yesterday, like it usually does on Tuesday. IndyCar, 1.87 million viewers, up from 807,000 last year at Road America. So there you go. It was on the Big Bird, 12:30, and the ratings went up big time from last week, especially in Detroit.
Yeah, I think it was awesome. And it helps to not go head to head against NASCAR. Definitely helps in that scenario. But yeah, I mean, I'm glad people tuned in. I think that's a good goal for us to try to get to at least 1 million, at least 1 million people checking it out. But there's still, as we talk about, there's still that 1.2 extra million people that watch the NASCAR race later that day. You know what I mean? How do we get to those extra 1.2? Because I would actually guarantee you that most of the 1.1 million or whatever who watch the IndyCar race, I guarantee a lot of those people watch the NASCAR race as well. I mean, that's kind of motorsport fans in general. and I mean, I kind of I respect that. So we just got to figure out those extra 1.2 million and maybe try to get them 100K at a time. But it was also a great race. So I'm glad that, we got good viewership, but also a good race for people to enjoy. And hopefully now they're like, all right, well, I'm excited for the next one, Mid-Ohio.
Yeah. Yeah, no, it was highly entertaining. I know I can't wait for Mid-Ohio because I'm going to be there. It's going to be, the first one I've been able to see in person since the 500. It's going to be the last one I'm probably going to be able to get to before baby boy gets here. So looking forward to that 4th of July weekend. And not only was it just viewership up on Sunday at Road America, but, for the different segments we've had where we've had to kind of not doom and gloom, but, it's just been kind of disappointing with some sections of the ratings when it comes to TV viewership. There was this viewership off to the best start since 2017 across NBC Sports for the NTT IndyCar Series, averaging 1.72 million viewers through the opening 8 races. It's the most streamed IndyCar season on record. And then again, Road America averaged 1.11 million viewers. So things are looking up. We had to talk some harsh realities about USA Network and go head to head against NASCAR last weekend. But you look at the overall picture, the overarching picture, things are looking up, which is great.
Yeah, for sure. I mean, there's a lot of positives, and everyone's working towards it. All the drivers, all the teams are, trying to make sure we get the word out there. But it's so hard when you have so many things in this world that can grab your attention. How do we take, how do we take people's eyes for an hour at least, or maybe 2 hours? You know what I mean? It's wild with the amount of streaming services there are out there, with the amount of apps and stuff that you can have access to. It's tough to fight for the attention, but thankfully, I think we're doing a great job. NBC does a great job. The next step is obviously get every single race on network NBC. But it's one step at a time. So I think we've got a lot of great stuff going. We got a great championship battle. I mean, every race seems to be, throwing some different things onto the table. And we had Joseph Newgarden win $1 million because he's the first guy to win, a street course, a road course, and an oval. That was a really cool bonus by People Ready, which is one of Ray Hall's sponsors. $1 million bonus, $500,000 to charity, $500,000 to our new dad friend, Joseph Newgarden. I'm sure his family is happy about that. And also the rest of us are very disappointed that someone took $1 million at only race 8. So it's a shame that he took that opportunity from the rest of us so early, but kind of a cool special side program there that Joseph got into. And there's a lot to be, there's still a lot to be won. There's many trophies to be handed out still. But we're kind of at that halfway point, past the halfway point now, and people are really starting to focus in on how the championship battle is going to go. And every race we see crazy things happen. So I'm excited to see whatever happens next.
And NBC showed a really cool graphic that we posted on our platforms at Speed Street Pod, Twitter and Instagram. Be sure to follow. But it was just kind of the live in live action up and down graphic of the championship points throughout the season, throughout the 8 races. And I mean, it's literally just freaking people rising, people falling, somebody coming in, somebody coming out. And so when people who are, newcomers or even buddies of mine or just casual people that I'll, be at a dinner party with or whatever to talk to me about IndyCar, I think that's one of the first things that I would say is look at that graphic. And then also we've had 8 races so far in 2022. We've had 8 different pole sitters. I mean, that's ridiculous. That's insane.
Yeah, it's awesome. I mean, I think, and there's some wild big movers as well. I think like for a while, Alex Rossi and I were both like way in the back in the championship, and both him and I are like in the top 4 of the biggest movers in the championship now. And he's been on an incredible run. Alex has performed extremely well lately, and it just goes to show you, like, if you start rating people early, like I had a bunch of people tell me I was like the worst thing ever after 2 races, and then all of a sudden, now I did an interview with Marshall Pruitt this morning. It's like, well, it's me, Roman Grosjean, Colton Herta are the 2 guys right in front of me in the championship. You know what I mean? And Simon Pagenaud. So like those guys apparently are judged as quite good people in the community. So I don't feel too bad about where we're at right now, and we're going to keep getting better. So it's been a real interesting start to the year for sure. But it just goes to show you, if you hit your stride at any point, you can really make up some ground. And I think that's what's, it's going to be really interesting to follow.
Yeah. And I believe you're only one of 4 in the series so far this year that has completed every race. You've not had a DNF on your record. And so again, to your point, driving clean, driving well, hitting your stride. And we look at the championship standings right now as of 6/15/2022. Marcus Ericsson, obviously the double points Indy 500 winner, and he's been at the top. Even in Detroit, he didn't have a terrible hangover race there. Marcus Ericsson, Will Power, Joseph Newgarden, and Pato O'Ward, Alex Palou, your top 5. Scott Dixon, Rossi, Rosenquist, McLaughlin, Simon Pagenaud, 10. And then, like you mentioned, you got Colton Herta, Roman Grosjean, and you. And you're not separated by very much there with a lot of these guys. So, yeah, 8 races down, 9 to go. And really, it's all up for grabs, man. It's going to be exciting as hell down the stretch.
Oh, yeah. I'm excited to be racing with the guys that we are out there. And it's we've obviously, the team's done a great job of keeping us on the track, of course. And the reliability has been great from Chevrolet. So, yeah, we'll just have to see what happens. I mean, if you always call, we always call Alex Palou Mr. Consistency as well. And to have him with a DNF at Road America, I mean, that's wildly rare for him, I feel like. So, that'll be interesting to see how that plays out. Joseph Newgarden, I mean, it kind of seems like Joseph Newgarden is going to be the one to beat for the championship right now. I know Marcus, is leading the points, but and Joseph had a tough Indy 500, but it seems like Joseph is going to be the guy to beat. And how long does Marcus hold on to the Indy 500 championship boost? I mean, clearly he's not doing a bad job. It's not like the Indy 500 was a fluke, because the guy's out on the podium again in Road America. He's been fast everywhere. So, do we see a Marcus Ericsson, Joseph Newgarden battle all the way to the end? It's certainly possible.
Yeah. Well, we're heading to Mid-Ohio next. And last year you had Joseph took the checkered. And then I believe in second was Marcus Ericsson. And Marcus was really, really gaining down the stretch. Is one of those kind of, if I remember correctly, if, he had an extra handful of laps, 4 or 5 laps, Marcus was coming. But Joseph was able to hold on, and so that's where we're going next. And you got 2 of the top 3 in the point standings right now who finished the top 2 in last year's race. So a lot of very exciting things, a lot of very interesting, intriguing storylines. You got youth, you got vets, you got experience, inexperience up there at the top. It's going to be a blast. Let's switch to NASCAR real quick, because like we were talking about, I know me and you both do this a lot. Probably a lot of people who listen to us do this, watch the IndyCar race, and then later on it's like, hey, I want to watch some more racing. And NASCAR was on at Sonoma, and it was pretty cool, man. You got Daniel Suarez getting his first career Cup win out there on the West Coast.
Yeah, absolutely. I thought that was awesome. The Trackhouse team's done such an incredible job. Justin Marks is an incredible dude, and obviously has done a great job assembling that group of people. So I was watching the end of that, and the way those NASCAR races work out sometimes, like you could tell that Daniel definitely was in the right position, and seemed like he had the fastest car. But what will happen? When will the yellows come out? When will someone crash? What's going to go on? There are a lot of people making mistakes in the pits too, which is really interesting. But I think I love emotional win stories. And I think, a guy like that getting his first win, especially for a fairly new team as well, is super cool. And you could tell a lot of the other drivers really respected that as well. But also when you're watching on the last lap and you see AJ Allmendinger spinning into the wall, you're like, oh my gosh, is this the yellow flag that everyone's like, is this going to take it away from him? I guarantee he watches that race back and he's like, I can't believe that almost happened. Really cool to see him get that win. And honestly, like really interesting top three as well. Cause you had Chris Buescher, who I wouldn't have really expected as a road course guy, for the Roush team there, he was looking real strong. And again, Chris Buescher, I would not expect to see him as a, road course ace. So really cool to see that. And then obviously Michael McDowell had a great race. Fellow pro Mazda champion from the road to Indy, Michael McDowell. He's obviously a great road racer. And just those NASCAR road races always make for an interesting viewing experience, I think. And I enjoy watching them. And it was really just, to see a new winner is always cool.
Yeah, man. And he had Daniel's Amigos up there. He had that whole section. I really enjoyed too when he finally won, crossed start finish line, took the checkered flag. The show of respect that the different drivers around him had. You saw Chase Elliott and a few of the other guys kind of give him a little bump and then drive past him, and I think Ross Chastain was, leaning out the window, was congratulating him and everything. So it's like, NASCAR, we always talk about how NASCAR has all of this drama and the beefs and people fighting in the pits and the garages and everything. But it was kind of cool to see that other side where people just like had this genuine joy and respect for Daniel Suarez getting that first win.
Yeah, exactly. And I think no matter what, you'd see that in IndyCar as well if there was when there was a first time winner. But definitely enjoyed seeing that. And I mean that those new NASCAR Cup cars too on the road course, I thought it was pretty cool. I thought there was some good racing that shaped up. I saw a lot of people tweet that it gave a lot of V8 supercar vibes. I'm not sure if you ever watched the V8 supercars yet, Joey, as you're a fresh race fan, but the V8 supercar racing series over in Australia, they've got great racing. And now the NASCAR, the Cup cars have the sequential gearbox. It definitely reminded me of a V8 supercar race. So it was cool to see. And yeah, I mean, we had a great weekend of racing overall for sure.
Have you been out to Sonoma? Have you raced there? Or have you?
Yeah, man.
Race there? Yeah.
IndyCar used to race there back before we switched over to Laguna Seca to finish off the year. Sonoma was definitely a challenging place because again, it's kind of one of those old surface tracks. It's a little bit more slippery than you expect, but I enjoyed racing at Sonoma. Always enjoyed driving there. We run a different track configuration to NASCAR. We run the longer circuit. They kind of cut out a piece of the middle of the track that we would run. But yeah, great track. And it's obviously a great area too, because it's wine country. And I mean, wine country is a great place.
Well, that's what I was about to ask. Did you guys have the same? Because I know that Daniel was dumping a whole bunch of red wine on him after he won. Was that your guys' celebration too? Is that how it went down?
I didn't see anyone dumping wine on themselves at the track, but I assume afterwards there were many folks from the racing community chugging bottles of wine, as I assume that is customary for the community.
It was, yeah. Well, that just sprung a memory in my mind. It was nice. I was at Belmont Steaks over the weekend in New York, right? and it was a very interesting scene out there in Long Island. I mean, everybody just like looks and talks like Tony Soprano and his daughter. So that was very interesting. But then with my hookup with America's Best Racing, they had we were up in the box and they had just it was open bar, and so these bartenders would just like have glasses of wine on deck to where you can just walk up to the bar, scoop one, and to just keep going. I mean, it was phenomenal. So
I respect that.
Yeah, dude. Saturday I was having a great time, which was quickly diminished by Sunday having my flight canceled and being stuck in New York for another day. So
welcome to modern day flying. It's a real challenge no matter where you go. I completely get it.
Dude, it was crazy. And then like they didn't refund anybody because they said it was on weather. It was like because of weather, and so they didn't have to do that because they can't control it. And it was just it was a real shit show, man. I'm very much looking forward to Mid Ohio for numerous reasons, but the main one is because the last 2 IndyCar races I've had to watch on my phone, and so I'm done with that. I'm ready to get back to the good viewing.
I love that, man. We're ready to have you back, ready to have everyone back. And you know what? In between now and then, though, we get to watch a little bit of SRX racing. I don't know if we want to get into that a little bit, but
yeah. So for anybody who listens to us, who listens to anything in Dirty Mo, who if you're not familiar with SRX racing, kind of why don't you give them a little rundown of what to expect this weekend down there?
Well, it is basically a championship of 6 events, primetime Saturday night on short tracks, dirt and pavement, and you get a lot of champions, a lot of former race winners all across the board. You got guys like Paul Tracy, Elio Castroneves, Marco Andretti, Michael Waltrip, Tony Stewart, Ernie Francis Jr., Tony Kanaan. Yeah, a lot of really good guys from both the NASCAR scene and the IndyCar scene.
Haley Deegan.
What? Yeah.
Haley Deegan
as well. A lot of a couple young rising stars, a couple local favorites as well. Some of the really talented folks from basically probably that have these tracks that they're racing at as their home tracks. We're going to Pensacola first down in Florida, and then the second track's in South Boston, which is Virginia. Apparently, I've never been there. But really cool championship. Great idea. More for the entertainment really than necessarily a career type move. I would say is it really good racing? Yes. But is it purely meant to be an entertainment form? It's meant to lock you in. It's meant to maybe make you laugh a little bit. Maybe make you learn a little bit about some of these drivers away from the track also. Or just get to enjoy some complete champions battling it out, maybe rubbing doors against each other, spinning each other out, all for some money, because there's money on the line, and guess what drivers love? Money. So it's a great championship. It'll be Saturday night on CBS, I think 7 p.m. Eastern. So it'll be a real cool deal. They have 2 heat races. Basically, they have a random draw for the starting grid. For the first race, and I believe I heard that Paul Tracy's on the front row for the first heat, so that'll be interesting. He's obviously a wild character, but yeah, it should be a great Saturday night of racing. If you need something to watch, maybe before you hit the bars, before you hit the streets, or maybe while you're out on the streets at the bars, the SRX racing series will be on, and you get to hear my voice talking about motorsport and potentially interviewing the drivers while they're on the track.
Yeah, man. It's, for people who are new to it or who just haven't given it a shot. I mean, it's like my wife's favorite racing series. She thinks it's awesome, so entertaining. And I do too. It's what I'm saying by that is that if she's not a diehard sports fan or, diehard race fan at that, but she's like, hey, that is super fun. I really enjoy watching it. I like how they go about it. I like how it's Saturday nights in the summer, and I do too. So it's quick. It's kind of like, I would say, like the XFL of racing, right?
Yeah, exactly. Very much like the XFL of racing. That's a great way to put it. And I think it's all about entertainment. So if you want to sit down, have a couple brews, have a couple cocktails with your friends, and have a look at some absolute legends, going out there. There's a couple different drivers every weekend as well. We've even got our boy Joseph Newgarden. He's doing the Nashville race because that's his hometown. So it's a great mix of IndyCar, NASCAR, dirt racing, really, really talented drivers, and all in fairly, supposedly fully equal equipment as well, which obviously every driver is always down for a good equal competition with equal equipment. But I promise you, at some point, drivers always want to complain about the equipment. So I'm excited to hear about that as well.
Yeah. So is this upcoming weekend being in Pensacola? Is that Hunter Ray's home track? Is he going to be in it this weekend?
Hunter Ray, I believe Hunter Ray is doing the whole season. I'm not entirely sure.
Oh, okay. All right.
Yeah, Ryan Hunter Ray will be there as well. So your IndyCar fans, obviously Ryan Hunter Ray, IndyCar champion, Indy 500 champion. He's going to be out there battling it out. And I actually can't wait to see how Ryan does. I think Ryan's very good, and it'll be interesting to see how he adjusts to the car.
Who are you most excited to interview while they're in their car?
I'm honestly so pumped to interview Tony Stewart. I love Tony Stewart, and I think he's a great guy. I happened to get an invite to his bachelor party.
Oh yeah,
it kind of felt like a Make-A-Wish moment for me. It's like getting on Tony Stewart's private airplane and flying with Marco Andretti out to Las Vegas for a couple days. I believe we told that story on one of the very early episodes of Speed Street.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, I love Tony's honesty. That's what it's all about, being an honest racing driver. And, he's obviously a very creative mind behind, very much so behind the SRX series. I would say my most anticipated moment is, do I make anyone angry when they're on the track, right? Like, am I going to lock into someone's radio and be like, hey, Marco, how'd that move go? You look like you lost some positions there, an old buddy's friend over there. And then he's like, hey, I'm in the middle of racing. Can you please shut up? I don't know. We'll see what happens. But I'm excited to interact with these folks. I actually saw Michael Waltrip at the airport the other day. Still not sure if he knows who I am at all. I don't think so. But I was like, hey, man, are you doing SRX again? He's like, yeah. I said, well, I'll see you down there. And I don't know if he thought I was just going to be a fan down there or if I'm going to, but I am excited to show up in a suit and be like, hey, Michael, great to see you again. What do you think about the race this weekend?
Oh boy, the surprise he's in for when, he's like, wait a second, wasn't that fella I saw at the airport? It's you interviewing him, man. That's going to be must-see TV. Yeah, tell Marco if you get him on the line during the race, tell him that just slip in a Camus line. If he gets the win, tell him he's got a bottle of Camus waiting for him. He'll get it. He'll appreciate the gesture.
Oh yeah, he's a big wine guy. Big wine guy.
Yeah.
So I have already locked into I guess since it is a weekend off this weekend, I will be flying home with Marco after said SRX race. So that'll be more where my vacation begins for at least a day and a half or so.
There you go. Yeah. That sounds like a hell of a time. So that's this Saturday night starting SRX series. Our guy Conor Daly on the call with Alan Bestwick. It's going to be a blast. You got to be there for it. Before we get into the Ricky Treadway Random Indy 500 Driver of the Week, I do have to tell the story about that dream I had the other night.
Oh yeah,
I tweeted about it, and it was such a weird mix of hilariousness, but also I woke up terrified and had to check my bank account immediately because I was like, it was so real. And I was like, I think this might have actually happened somehow. I was caught in that weird, when your dream is so realistic and you wake up, you're like, hey, can I make sure this didn't happen or did happen really? I don't remember how we started it, but you, Rossi, Scott McLaughlin, I couldn't make it, but somehow you finagled me into let me lend you my card for you guys to spend. So you guys go out, you do your thing. In my dream, I wake up the next morning, I check my bank account, and I was like negative $6,000. You guys had just absolutely ran up. And like I put in the tweet, it wasn't like we were down in Nashville or New York City or LA. This was just downtown Indianapolis. So any of the people who were just like, that seems like a light night, man, you got off lucky, blah, blah, blah. $6,000 in one night in downtown Indianapolis. I mean, if you guys are spending all that on booze, you would either have gotten arrested or be dead.
You know what, Joey, that's an interesting challenge that you posed there. But I do believe that Scott McLaughlin and Alex and I could easily go through $6,000 in Indianapolis. I don't believe we have done that. I believe after the Indy 500, there was some money spent. I will not say how much. Yeah, I don't think it was that much. But if you were to pose that as a challenge, and let's say we all had a successful motor race that weekend, I'm sure that we could run your card out of funds because we like to have a great time.
Here's the thing, though. The shittiest thing about the dream, once I woke up and realized that it was not real and I wasn't negative $6,000 in my account, I remember it in the dream that like you guys, you didn't see the big deal of it. You like weren't gonna pay me back, and I was like,
that doesn't sound like us. I'm a man of honesty, and I'm a man of respect. I would never ever use someone's card and be like, hey, you know what? Thanks so much. I appreciate your unintended generosity.
but it wasn't even like a thanks situation. I didn't think I got a thanks. I literally just woke up. I hit up all you guys. I was like, guys, $6,000? What the hell? And I think Scott, if I remember correctly, he just put on his Aussie charm. It was just like, oh, hey, no, not a big deal, mate. And I was like, no, that is a big deal. Like, I have a son on the way. You need to pay me back. And him and Rossi are both just like, ah. And that was it.
Man, we're a bunch of douchebags. Sorry about that. I guess in Dreamland we can't we can't be respectful. And I just want to let the people know that we are respectful partiers and that we respect each other's possessions. Maybe not our hot tubs. My hot tub was not very respected, but we respect each other's bank accounts. I will say.
I will. Now that I think about it, it's like it wasn't so much you. It was definitely mostly Scott and a little bit of Alex that were just not seeing the big deal with just running me that tab and not refunding me at all. It was very scary. It was very interesting. And yeah, I think that once I get the funds to where a point to where I can say, hey, here's a challenge. I would like to see that happen. I would like to see.
I'm honestly just glad that even in your dream, did you expect me to be least likely to spend that much money? Because the thought process around me is inherently poor. But Alex and driving for Andretti, having a really cool contract, now a McLaren guy and Scott McLaughlin, big Penske guys. I'm glad that in your dreamland, those guys seem more likely to spend the $6,000 than me, because that does check out.
No, you guys were all doing it, but I'm just saying, like, I think people forget how much money $6,000 in one night is.
That's a lot.
Like, let's say you had dinner at Prime 47, got drinks at 1933 Lounge after, and then went to Envy. Let's say you go to 3 places. You mean to tell me you're going to spend $2,000 at least at each of those places?
I mean, look, man, good wine, good steaks, good couple of those little fake tiny little electric cars bringing out a couple bottles of tequila. Who knows? You never know what you can get into.
Do they have those? Is that a real thing, the electric cars?
Oh yeah, of course. You're missing out.
They just bring it out for drivers, or is it for everybody?
No. You can have whatever you want at the nightclub in Indianapolis. Whatever you want.
Okay. All right, yeah. So that was a dream a couple nights ago. All right, let's finish up with the Ricky Treadway Random Indy 500 Driver of the Week. This is episode 32, so we're nearing that full field of 33. And before we get into it, I do have to give a thanks and a shout out. We had, I want to say, probably close to 10 listeners who either sent to Speed Street or sent to me, maybe you two, people that went in on their own time and went back through all of our shows and listened and wrote down the driver that we picked for each week. And so we have the full field ready to go once we get to 33. So shout out to our listeners, our audience, the followers that we have for going through and doing that. Really, really appreciate it. Jeremiah Morrill, Billy Mack, handful of other people that hit me up. But yeah, dude, pretty wild. I was kind of just like throwing it out there. It's like, hey, this would be funny if you did it. And then you actually did it. So shout out to all you guys, man. It's awesome.
Absolutely. I like the support that this has got, because again, there are several people who, when we mentioned our last driver, Mr. Agabashian or whatever his name was, it was quite interesting to see immediately, like, his car was driven before the Indy 500, like this year. Like and his car was like the first diesel powered pole winner or whatever at the Speedway. So
I know.
Very, very cool history that I did not know. But again, it's one of those things where like, oh, you should have known this. I'm like, look, I get it. I'm sorry that I didn't know, but I'm learning. I'm learning myself.
This is the whole point. It's the whole point.
Right. Yeah. So
all right, let's get car number 32 here.
So here we go. We went to the 1965 Indy 500, which was won by Jim Clark, very legendary racing driver. And I found a person that there's a couple guys in here that I would. Our guy Bill Cheeseburg is in here too.
Yep.
But this one is he finished 23rd. Maston Gregory. And I've done the Googleizing on him. Born in February 29, 1932, American racing driver, raced in Formula One between 1957 and 65. Oh wow, he was known as the Kansas City Flash, Maston Gregory. Kansas City Flash. I like that nickname a lot, honestly.
That's pretty sick. Yeah.
That's a great nickname.
By the way, it makes no sense. This guy's name's Maston and he's born in Kansas City.
Yeah. He sounds like he should be like a European king or something.
Oh, absolutely. It should be like Jack Harvey's best friend right here. Maston.
Yeah, Jack and Maston really hang out a lot. Well, that's
Maston. Yeah, let's see. I'm trying to go to like his later life to see after Formula One.
He did Le Mans as well. Looks like he did the Le Mans 24-hour race several times, many times. And he did it all. I mean, this guy was Formula One, Indy 500, Le Mans. I mean, everything.
This is a KC Flash right here, man. He was only 53 when he passed. That's sad. That's pretty early.
They should have just called him the Fast Mast.
Oh, nice. Fast Mast. I like
sailing
that.
Reference.
Change it to a Jaguar. I'm reading up on our guy here. Yeah, he's only 53 when he passed, man. He died in Italy. Tuscany, Italy.
That is a darn shame, but I'm sure he apparently lived a great life.
Hey, he's distinct club of motorsport, being only one of 19 drivers to compete in all three legs of the Triple Crown of Motorsport: Indy 500, 24 Hours of Le Mans, and the Monaco Grand Prix.
That's pretty cool. That's
pretty special. And to have won at least that's the other part, and to have won at least one of those events. So yeah, this is a freaking racing legend right here. Casey Flash. Nice
Kansas
pull,
City
dude.
Flash. I like that
Maston
a lot.
Gregory.
We definitely learned some things here.
Oh, and he was a leap year baby. February 29.
There you go.
So he's 53. So really, he was on. My math is horrible. It's every 4 years, right? So 53 divided by 4. What is that?
Oh, yeah, this is real good math.
10 times 4 is 40. 11 is 44. 12 is 50. So he was only like 11, really. 11 or 12.
That's a solid life. That's a solid 11 years.
Technically. All right. There it is. It's a show for this week. Again, it's midway point of the IndyCar season. Have a couple weeks off here for racing, but we're going to be back. We had a show this week. We'll have a show next week. So be sure to follow us, subscribe. I think it's just follow now. I've been saying subscribe, but I think it's just follow our shows on Apple Podcasts, Spotify, wherever you get your podcasts, of course, courtesy of Dirty Mo Media. Follow Conor at Conor Daly 22.
Yep,
yeah.
You nailed it.
Conor Daly 22. Me at Joey Mulinaro. Ben, what's your handle?
Neb_Notlaw. My name backwards.
Ben Walton backwards. There it is. Nice. Was Ben Walton just taken?
And totally. Yeah, with the Waltons, that whole TV show and everything.
And the Walmart family.
Right.
Okay. Follow him. Myself at Speed Street Pod, of course, on Instagram and Twitter. Love to interact with you guys as well. And you guys have been really leaving a lot of ratings and reviews. Appreciate those. They mean a lot to us because we're just trying to, again, grow this street, grow it into a neighborhood, baby. So for myself, anything else from you, Conor?
Just appreciate all the folks again at the races coming up and saying that they listened to the show. Appreciate those folks. Appreciate the whole Dale Jr. download, putting our last episode up on their channel as well. Their distribution was really cool. So if you're coming from there, we appreciate the listenership.
Awesome. Yep. All right. We'll talk to you guys next week. Get ready for Mid-Ohio on Speed Street.
Cool. I emailed you guys the script. I just got a text, so we don't need to do the individual 2 lines at the bottom. So we can just run through that quick, and then you guys are good.
Sweet.
Sick.
Oh, it's right there. All right. So do you just want to get into it?
Yeah, whenever you guys just go back and forth. If you need to redo it or whatever, feel free. But pretty straightforward.
All right, Joe, you ready to go then? I guess I'm leading this sucker off.
Let's do it, brother.
All right. What's up, Dirty Mo Media fans? This is IndyCar driver Conor Daly.
And comedian Joey Mulinaro.
And we're Speed Street, Dirty Mo Media's newest podcast.
We dive into the latest happenings in IndyCar, NASCAR, and F1 every week, as well as life on and off the track.
Speed Street is available now on all major podcasting platforms.
And make sure to follow us on Twitter and Instagram at Speed Street Pod.
That works. Cool.
Nailed it.
Awesome. Hell yeah.